It's Peter Doak here, and it is time for the PDG Advertising Podcast, episode 34. Today is Monday, the 10th of June. Took me a while there. I've even got it written in front of me on this page. But today was a great day, and as the sun sets over the Belfast hills, it was a good day in work, but it's a really beautiful day here in Belfast. There's this striking blue in the sky, and it hazes down into the mountains, and it's just beautiful. And today in work was awesome. We had a really busy last week. I think we went a bit too fast about 3 weeks ago, and it's just resulted in us being so busy. And I've heard quite a few times on motivational blogs or vlogs or pods or what have you that it's not about how often you get knocked down, it's about how often you stand up. And I think that that's really true. I think a common theme on this podcast has been failure equals eventual success. And last week we had a little bit of failure across the board, but it made us stronger for today and for this week. And for me personally, it just got me thinking about the gravity of what we're trying to do and the overall goals that I have. And it was tough last week, but when you look back in hindsight, I think that it was a good week because of the experience it gave us. You might even have noticed that there was no PDG Advertising Podcast on Thursday or Friday. That was sheerly down to workload. And while I don't want to miss a day on the PDG Advertising Podcast because it's really important, sometimes things will not allow us to do that daily podcast. But don't worry, because we will come back to it, and we'll be back to it eventually. So that's good. I think the first thing I've got written down here on the podcast topics is that we need to take things step by step. And when I say we, I mean PDG Advertising, the team, myself and Anthony. We need to take things just bit by bit, task by task, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute. And that way we'll stay in control, some sort of relative control, competent control of what we're doing. If we try to do too much at once, it's not going to work. I don't think that you can do 50 things at the one time. I don't think you can even do 2 things well at the one time. I think when we have an overall process together, we need to break it down into its component parts and do each part really well. And that makes up an overall really well done project or piece of work or email to be sent out or Facebook campaign to be done or strategy to be created or website to be created. It's just bit by bit, step by step, task by task, process by process, customer by customer, email by email, Facebook ad by Facebook ad. And that's the pace that you have to go at. You can't go any faster. And I think last week I was trying to go faster than that, and it never works out, and it always ends up in a crash. I think there's probably many similarities between that and maybe cooking or baking, where if you're doing a cake, I would imagine that you do things relatively step by step, process by process, ingredient by ingredient, thing by thing, oven by oven, or fridge by fridge, or temperature by temperature. It's all a step process, and whenever that's down, it really creates something really nice and really cool. You can maybe compare it to driving. So if you're doing like 10 things at the once when you're driving, you're going to end up crashing, or you have higher risk of crashing anyway. You might get away with it 9 out of 10 times, but that 10th time could completely ruin you. So I think just taking lessons from last week, taking things step by step, task by task, bit by bit, will put us in the right position to do really, really amazing things. Oh, that got really I got really real on the PDG Advertising Podcast, but I'm glad to share it with you. So today was a great day. And one of the first tactical things that we did today was we worked on attribution. And if you don't know what attribution is, firstly, if you're a digital marketer, I want you to go to Google and I want you to Google advertising attribution or marketing attribution or sales attribution, something like that, because it's really, really important. And let me break this down just a little bit. So if you do a Facebook advert to your website and you drive 10 people to go to that website, on that day, the initial adverts might record, if you're using Google goals or using Google transactions, you might be able to associate a sale that you made with one of the ways that you got people to the site. So 10 people are driven to the site by Facebook. And if there's a sale and it's by Facebook, then you can pretty much guarantee that that is your doing and you've had a positive impact on that website or on your sales funnel. When you get a bit more advanced, you use things like UTM codes so you can see, exactly where the sale came from in terms of like the particular ad set or the particular advert that was put out there. But if, let's say you drive those 10 people to your website on Monday and there are no sales, and there are no sales on Tuesday, and there are no sales on Wednesday, and there are no sales on Thursday, and then someone who went to the site on Monday remembered that they needed something you had to offer on your website, and they buy on the Friday, you are going to be forgiven for thinking that nobody liked your advert or your advert wasn't any good or your website wasn't any good from Monday until Thursday, until Friday, whenever someone actually purchased. And if you don't have attribution right, you won't be able to see that path and you won't be able to see that it was from your adverts that person came. So that's a really, really important thing to get down. And it's too complex for me to go into here. And if I'm being really honest, it's too complex for me because I don't really understand it totally. I think I understand it better than like 99% of people, but I think it would take that 1% of people to show me how to do it properly because I've never seen anybody that's able to do it properly. I've never come across anybody that's able to say exactly where all their sales are coming from or exactly where all their traffic is generating sales. And I would wonder if anybody can. It's what I strive to and what PDG Advertising strives to. So that's a really important point of what we do. And why I'm bringing it up on the podcast is because we share everything and we share what we do. We want you to see how the business runs. But we're not masters of it. And we don't know really how to make sure that it happens. But what we're doing is we create UTM codes. We look at the stats. We bring people through a progressional funnel of come to the website on day 1. If they don't buy anything, then we retarget them on day 2. If they don't buy anything, we retarget them on day 3, right up to maybe day 7. And then we watch which advert actually made people purchase. It's a real waste if you don't realize that there may be a delay in purchase and you might throw the baby out with the bathwater. The amount of people, the sheer amount of people that I have seen and have come to me and said, yeah, well, we tried Facebook advertising, but it didn't work. And I go into it a bit deeper and I find out that they spent $20 for one day and they didn't track what was going on over time, and they suggested it didn't work. Now, there are so many reasons why it might not have worked, why Facebook ads may not have worked. And it could be because your adverts were terrible, your targeting was terrible, your website was terrible. And those are 3 key problems, but there are many, many more outside of that. Like a real technical one is there might be just too many people bidding for the eyeline of the target market that you are in front of. You might have done your advert on Black Friday, and even if you're not in e-commerce or you wouldn't really have a Black Friday advert to do, the amount of people bidding on Facebook just demolishes any opportunity that anybody else has to get in front of basically anybody in the overall Facebook's ad platform. What I'm saying is this is complex. It's not just, put up an advert and if it doesn't get an immediate sale, then it hasn't worked. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. It takes time and it takes patience to get that right. But knowing that attribution is important gets you on that path and gets you closer to being able to make your first sales, or being able to make, you know, your first action where you get an email address from someone, things like that. And one thing that's very important, actually, you know, getting your first sale is like one of the most difficult things to do online. It takes time and perseverance. It's kind of like lighting a fire without a lighter or without matches. It takes time and perseverance to make it happen. But whenever you do make it happen, the next sales are easy, and the next fires, you know what you're trying to do, and it's easier. So time, perseverance, and patience, and knowing what attribution is. And if you are a digital marketer and you don't understand what attribution is, you've never heard that word before, Google it right now, comment on this YouTube video or on this podcast, and I will personally call you. Sounds very threatening. I will personally call you to talk you through it and tell you what it's all about. Maybe even in a slower, more articulate and concise way than here on the PDG Advertising Podcast. I tell you what, sometimes whenever you're doing things on a daily basis for customers, today we were setting up some new campaigns for some new customers, and something just struck me whenever we was doing a MailChimp campaign. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to get people to come to this customer's website, and we're trying to capture their details as in their email data, and then we're going to drip them emails in the future so that they take the action that we want them to take. But we need to exclude people from that drip, people who have actually purchased, so that we're not, you know, wasting our time or bombarding or annoying people that have actually already purchased, asking them to purchase. Or worse, if we're asking people to purchase with a discount, people that have already purchased at the full price, that would be pretty bad too. That's just throwing away money. But the way that we distinguish that is through triggers happening on the website and actions happening in the CRM of the website, and that translating over into MailChimp. So for example, if you've got a list of 100 people, you send out an email, 50 of those people actually sign up for your offer, and the rest of the people who haven't signed up, you can distinguish between those people, and using tags in MailChimp and using triggers and tags, and then only send the email offers to drip people in and get people more interested, and eventually have them purchase to the people that haven't already purchased. And why am I talking about this? Because I thought it was really cool. I thought that was awesome. That's really exciting, fun, interesting, and something that boggles the mind as to how the boffins of the internet have managed to make this happen, how MailChimp have made it happen, how we can then use it to sell. I think that's a big part of the PDG advertising game and thing, is to take relatively complex things and show how we can use them for businesses and to the advantage of businesses. And it's not just the Googles of the world, it's not just the Facebooks, it's not the Nikes, it's not the McDonald's, it's not the Burger Kings of the world that can use this. In fact, it's probably doesn't even need to be those that use this. It's not just people with massive budgets that can use this. Like on MailChimp, the entry level for something like those tags and automation is about $10 a month. So can you imagine if you sell, you know, something that you get a profit margin of maybe $20 on, and over a whole month, you know, how little a cost that is to actually do that. It's just knowing how to do it. And I guess maybe this PDG Advertising Podcast will instigate some people to take that on and try it out and see if they can do it for themselves. Or get in touch with us and we'll help you to do it. So today was a really exciting time. There's certain points in the PDG advertising journey that come about and that cause some excitement for me. And I would love to share them with you. And one of them is whenever customers get their first adverts approved and started on Facebook. As an example, any ad campaign, any ad environment is exciting. But on Facebook, whenever a customer gets their first advert started, it's such an event. It's like, oh my goodness, we're putting ourselves out there now. We're alive. We're going to start getting traffic. It's like opening the door of your shop in 2019. And I see that excitement every time. I saw it today. My customer, who is a lovely guy, but he gets really excited about stuff. So normally customers get excited, but whenever you've got a really excitable guy and you've got a launch, then it's a really nice thing to see. I don't think I've really celebrated that with customers, because sometimes to us that can be, yep, you get this. And we know that those adverts are not going to be right. We know that they're not going to be the best that they can be, because we know that we need to fail a couple of times with them before they'll be as good as they can be. But having said, and that's why maybe we dull down the campaign start a little bit, and we say, yep, look, this is our best foot forward, but are these going to be the best they can be? Probably not, because we need to look at the insights, optimize, and see how we go. But today I decided to match that enthusiasm a little bit, and it was a joy. So I think that's part of the journey, and it was really nice to share in that with that customer. Soon we'll be providing case studies for that customer. It's a B2B SaaS product, software as a service, for real estate people in the United States. Very innovative new technology, and I am looking forward to seeing how those campaigns go. All right, everyone, that is the end of today's PDG Advertising Podcast, episode number 34. I'm noticing the listenership increase as we go forward day by day, and can't tell you how happy that makes me. I hope one person just gets some value from this in time. I wonder how long these will actually be left up on YouTube. How long will YouTube be around to for people to listen to these things? Will the great grandchild of Peter Doak, if he ever exists, will he or she be listening to this someday to hear all about what we do? I hope so. And if you are listening, how are you doing? Have a great day, whatever you're doing. And I'm going to say bye from an extremely sunny, sunsetty, beautiful Belfast, and I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of the PDG Advertising Podcast.